This episode is sponsored by The Break Room, downtown's best spot for a hot lunch every business day.
On this episode, Janet Bayless, author of Autumn Calls, Passages of Fancy, Jeanie Schuler and Cora Spencer with the Mulvane Art Fair, and District 1 councilperson Karen Hiller. But first, Lisa Sandmeyer with a new plan for the Topeka Cemetery.
So a new project to make it the cemetery more user-friendly.
Yes.
There we go. Perfect. All right.
Except, our users really don't ask for much.
Joining me is my friend Lisa Sandmeyer from the Topeka Cemetery, and we're talking about a crowdfunding opportunity that we can have that will make the cemetery more user-friendly. And we're talking about the live users here, right? It's good?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to help the live users find the other users.
Yes. Yeah. How does this work? This is a pretty cool plan you're working on.
Well, it is, everyone has GPS and you have the mapping, and now you can literally, or with this website, you would go to the website and you would type in Grandpa's name, and it would pop up and it would show you, if he has a marker there, it would show you his marker, it would tell you where he is, and then you could say, okay, take me there, and you would just follow your phone. And your phone would take you right to him.
Awesome. That's very cool. And it will make some documents available for people as well to look at?
This website would have the capacity for us to put our records online in a searchable archive. We have burial orders, the original handwritten burial orders for the 35,000 people who are buried there. We have what we call lot cards, and they show who all's buried in what relationship to each other and where there are vacant lots. For instance, our Topeka Patriarch Cyrus Holliday bought a lot with 20 spaces in it, and there are still 13 spaces yet to be filled. So our job now is to track down the heirs and find out if they would be interested in coming and joining Great Grandpa when their time of need comes.
Very interesting. So really taking the cemetery technology to the next level here and really adding a valuable piece to the Topeka Cemetery. Tell us about some of the people here. Deb Beisel's over there at the Topeka Cemetery.
Our resident historian.
The resident historian, but just to tell us a few of the people who notable, like Cyrus K. Holliday.
Cyrus K. Holliday.
His family's there.
And the first time I was doing a tour out there, for example, I thought, I'll pull Cyrus's records. We have his card for when he was buried. We have a card for when he bought his spaces. We have his contracts. We have everything there. I was looking up today, though, Hib Case, who was Charles Curtis's mentor, is buried up there. And I was looking through the records, and it said his wife was the first female attorney in Kansas. His great-grandson went on to found America Online. Well, and we decided to go with a crowdfunding campaign because that's, first of all, it's all the rage.
Yeah. Second
of all, I figure most people give $5 for anything. And there are so many Topeka history geeks. There's almost 10,000 Topeka history geeks on Facebook. And I thought, if every geek gave us $5, we'd be there.
And the name of your website's very appropriately titled. It is TopekaCemeteryGeeks.com. So you can find out the information there. I'm looking at the page from that website right now. The goal that you're trying to raise for this software, it's a very large project you're working on here. A lot of work to be done here. It's a $32,000 goal. And basically, if you appreciate history, if you appreciate our roots here in this community, this is something that you can really get on and make as a resource for years to come, really. So tell us a little bit about how you want to proceed with this crowdfunding. As the money comes in and it's put in there, how's this developed?
Well, right now there is a separate bank account where all the money will go. And we will keep an accounting none of the funds will be commingled.
It's all restricted to this project.
It's all restricted to that project. We will make all of the accounting public. Anybody who wants to come in and see how much money was given, when we met our goal and where all of the money is spent. In addition, we're kind of hoping we get a little over the $32,000 because we want to also be a research center, and so that people can come in and look at the paper records, look at the records online, and also build their own legacy pages. We will have the capacity for, say, you to go on and put up family photographs from, as far back as you have them. But we also want the capability to help people do that. Anybody who's scanned pictures or taken photos knows you can get some pretty bad photos. And we will have the technology, or we intend to have the technology so that we can help people scan photographs, we can help them edit family stories. We've got the expertise there to write their stories if they need help with that. And of course, there would be some charges for putting that online, but just like the marker that you buy to mark the grave, it's there forever. And anyone can see it, and you can share these things. And I mentioned on there, everybody's got Aunt Martha. She's got all the family pictures. Who does she give them to? Which kid is going to take care of them? Which kid is going to make sure other people see them, or are they going to end up in a drawer somewhere?
That's a really good question.
Well, now we get this site. They can go up on the cemetery site. And then my ultimate goal is to create something that somebody else has already called it this. It's called The Last Word, and an opportunity for people to leave a final message. And I would like to be able to do that with audio. So that
would be nice.
Yeah, 50 years from now, the child who never met his grandfather can hear in his own words and in his own voice something about his life, or a little bit of advice or whatever.
How amazing would that be?
But this site, and the company that designed it, their first project was a cemetery in Pennsylvania that opened in 1776, and it has twice as many graves as we do.
Wow.
So that was their first project. So we're very confident.
It's been well within the scope of what's possible.
Well, yeah, and they do, and they understand the historical part of it. So, and on their the Topeka Cemetery Geeks page, there is a link to that site if anybody wants to check out how that whole system works.
Well, I think that's spectacular. So get to topekacemeterygeeks.com and check it out, and make a contribution, whatever you got. If you have somebody over in the cemetery, that relative maybe buried over there, maybe it's a good time to just kind of throw a little money their way. Even if you don't, you might be there someday, so you might as well throw a little money their way.
We're hoping.
Yeah, and even if not, maybe you've got people in other cemeteries. Maybe this is a great way to support something that can spread to the other cemeteries in our community. Because once you see how successful it can be here, I think it's going to be something that can spread all over.
Well, and people need access. People need access to these people. They need to see the wonderful, wonderful things that Topeka has done and can do.
Absolutely. Well, there you have it. So make your contribution to the Topeka Cemetery on topekacemeterygeeks.com for their new program. And thank you so much to Lisa Sandmeyer for joining us and telling us all about it. Folks, here I am with an author here, lifelong Topekan. You are Janet Bayless.
That's correct.
How you doing, Janet?
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right, you've written a book, Autumn Calls, Passages of Fancy. Now, you are a poet. You've written a lot of poetry in this book. It's a collection. Where did this poetry come from? What inspired you for this?
Well, mostly I started writing when I was in the 4th grade. I actually wrote my first piece about a flower pot sitting on my teacher's desk. And then I went to college, took a class there, and I've basically written most of my life, off and on, different poems and such, but seriously in the last 10 years. And probably I've written about 100. What inspires me is music, other poets, and nature, and of course my faith.
Absolutely. You've got some wonderful work in here, and I wanted to talk a little bit about this because your road to being a poet and an author here started out with not so bright beginnings.
It was scary.
Really. Now, this you have an article here from May 27, 1956, in the Topeka paper, and the headline of that: "Once Dead Girl Now Runs and Plays."
That's right.
You were dead once.
Yes. For at least a minute.
Wow.
On the operating table.
Okay, and so this is a really amazing story here because it's a procedure. What you were afflicted with at that time was something that no one around here knew anything about. It was kind of a once in a blue moon kind of thing here. Tell us about this condition.
For the state of Kansas, they had never seen it before. I was born in Stormont Vale. My esophagus was hooked to my trachea.
Okay.
So therefore, there was no way to get me any nourishment. They knew they were going to have to do emergency surgery, so the surgery was performed within 24 hours. And I had to have IVs in my ankles prior to. And I guess for a minute, I died on the operating table, so that is
where the headline comes
kind
from.
of with the headline. Two years later, they interviewed me with this picture of me sitting on a rocking horse, and that was the caption: "Once dead girl now runs and plays."
And they had to, you were telling me this before, they had to feed you through your ankles?
Yes.
How did that work?
Well, they just had IVs. I mean, I still have the scars from where they had the IVs in both of my ankles, and I still have the scar on my back from the surgery. I was just really glad that they had the foresight to go through my back at that time, even though they knew nothing about the surgery.
Wow, that's got to be just crazy. Have you had the time to be able to go back and even speak to any of the doctors per se, or who were involved with that
over the
your life?
years, I have tried, but I think it got to the point where I got old enough that most everybody that knew about this are gone now. Except me.
Well, yeah, thank goodness, yeah.
And I was a miracle. My folks were very young, 17 and 19 years old, so it was a very scary situation for them back then.
How did that shape you into the person you are now, into the author? Was there any challenges growing up you faced because of that?
There has been. I have had to have my throat dilated several times. As an adult, I grew up, all of my childhood life, I would have problems swallowing a lot. So, Mom would have to cut up the meat and, cut things up pretty finely for me to chew and swallow. I had to swallow slowly. So I was hovered over. Needless to say, I was very spoiled. But I believe it was a gift from God. I mean, God intervened there. I mean, otherwise I would not be here.
It certainly is a wonderful story of resilience of the human soul, and humans in general, to be able to overcome. So.
And I actually ended up working at Stormont Vale.
Did you really?
Yes, I did. So I felt like I was kind of paying back the community by doing that. That was in the 70s.
Did you ever get a chat about the story there?
Yeah, I think I did. I probably showed this to everybody that I worked
with. Of course, well, it's a wonderful story, absolutely.
Yeah.
And did they have anything, what did the people in the medical profession
I think they were like shocked, going, "Wow, you are kidding, this is unreal," and it's just unbelievable.
Well, you have a wonderful perspective, and you can find out more about it in Janet's book. That's Janet Bayless with Autumn Calls, Passages of Fancy. Be sure to check it out. Get it at Creative Corners Gallery and Gifts in downtown Topeka. Janet, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate it.
Joining me here in the studio, a couple of wonderful ladies who are putting together an incredible event with a group of volunteers that do something amazing every single year. It's the Mulvane Art Fair happening on Washburn's campus. It's the first weekend in June, right?
Correct.
All right, we're here with Jeanie Schuler and Cora Spencer. How you doing?
Doing great. Beautiful day.
Yeah, it certainly is. And now it's going to be a beautiful day on the day, well, 2 days actually, for the art fair this year. Now, Cora, will you tell us just a little bit about this fair and kind of what is this thing for people who may not even know? I don't know who those people would be, because everybody should know about this already.
Everybody should know about the Mulvane Art Fair. Well, and if they don't, this is the year to find out.
That's right. It's a perfect year for it.
It will be on the 6th and 7th of June this year is what that first weekend falls on. On the Friday on Saturday it's from 10 to 4, or 10 to 5, and on Sunday it is from 10 to 4, so a little bit shorter on Sunday.
Okay.
And we have artists that come in from all over, and they are all spread over the lovely Washburn campus. And the weather will be beautiful. It usually is. Lots to see. We also have lots to do. There's music. There's an art lab outside that the little kids can participate in, and kids under 12 are free. And then there's going to be music. This year we're doing the music a little different, so that's going to be exciting. It's being presented by the Topeka Blues Society for the first time.
Very cool.
And then of course there'll be food vendors from all over too, so if you like the food truck thing, you can come and experience that at the Mulvane Art Fair.
We always love that. You go in, get some food, walk around, meet some artists from all over the place. And these artists really are from all over the place. Jeanie, tell us about some of the people coming here.
They are indeed. We had the highest number of artists apply to be in this art fair this year. Record number, and this is a juried art fair. This is a fine art fair. It's not a crafts show. There are plenty of wonderful craft shows around, and so this one is a fine art fair. The artists will represent 17 states. And actually, I think 2 other countries.
Awesome.
Yes.
And 2 countries.
And 2 other countries besides the United States.
So 3 countries.
And so we have 92 artists this year.
92.
92 artists. And
which is fitting. The Mulvane's about 90 years old, so you have 92 artists. That's
Very
pretty
good.
cool. Yeah.
Very good.
I can do math real fast. It's good.
And the artist will present fine art in many different forms: paintings, metalwork, ceramics, wood, glass,
with 92
something
different artists.
Photography.
There's
something for everyone.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So with the 92 booths, all the food, the entertainment, it really is 2 days you don't want to miss. It takes a lot of volunteers to put this together. Cora, tell us a little bit about this process of volunteering is this your first year volunteering with it?
This is my I've volunteered to help put on the Mulvane in a volunteer capacity. This is my first year chairing it, and I'm co-chairing it with Sarah Fizel this year. So
very good.
I'm more involved in the planning process this year. Jeanie has done it before, and so my eyes are being opened to what all that takes. But we actually have a lovely volunteer on our board named Marcy, who coordinates all of the volunteers for the art fair, and she has done that for several years now. It takes a whole host of people, but it's a really fun volunteer opportunity because there's a lot of different things to be done on that day, and you're outside and you're with the artists, and it's an enjoyable day.
MulvaneArtFair.com is the
.org
is the website. So check it out and sign up to be a patron because it really, as we've said, it's very important to bring these artists to town so that everyone can go and see their work. It's important that we buy some of their work to bring them here because it's not cheap to come and sit here for a weekend to bring all your stuff from 2 other countries. I mean, there's a lot of cost involved with that, and this is their business. And so if we're going to share all of that with them, we need to buy their stuff, and a great way to do that is to go out and do some shopping at the Mulvane Art Fair first weekend in June. I really want to thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Chris.
And that's Jeanie Schuler. And what's your title on the art fair this year?
I am the president of the Friends of the Mulvane Art Museum board.
That's a great title for that.
And all-around volunteer.
Very good, very good. How many years have you been on the board?
I have been on the board for 3 years.
Awesome, very good, very good. And Cora, you're the co-chair with Sarah this year of this, so that's Cora Spencer. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And you can thank them by showing up and telling them how much you appreciate what they do and buying some art at the Mulvane Art Fair this year. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You bet, folks. Don't go away. We have plenty more coming up right after this. I'm joined here in the studio with Karen Hiller, our District 1 City Councilwoman here in Topeka. Karen, how are you?
I'm great.
Hey, thanks for joining us again.
You're welcome.
It's always great to have you here with us. Lots of things happening here since we've talked last. Now we wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that you're deputy mayor now. You were selected unanimously by the council. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now the question is, what does the deputy mayor do?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Well, I think the way I explain it in simple terms is the mayor is elected to be our leader. And functionally, he's the leader. The deputy mayor is much more of a functionary. You know, get the committees appointed, make sure we got the chaplain, make sure we've got all these functional things rolling, and be available to sit in the absence of the mayor. Deputy mayor also, by our statute so far, chairs the council committees of the whole. And that's the budget committee, the strategic planning committee, and if for some reason something is referred to the council committee of the whole. We may tweak that a little bit because of the ballot question that was just passed, but that gives a good balance within the council and also gives the deputy mayor a little practice running meetings just in case they get called up.
And that ballot question that did pass, what does that necessarily mean? What are we going to be seeing because of that?
In very simple terms, It was one more try, and we think we've got it this time, to clean up just the voting at the council level.
Okay.
Our city fathers and mothers, back when we did the charter form and changed to a council form of government, wrote their own. They didn't use one off the shelf, so we're having to tweak it just a little bit. And in simple terms, this round, with the vote that people made, the mayor, we were at a point where every time there was an issue, everyone would look at the city attorney and say, okay, who votes on this? Which gets a little old, as you can imagine, and it looks pretty stupid. So the mayor, by this change, will vote on everything except items that the state statute allows him to veto.
Okay.
So it kind of cleans it up. You can do one or the other, but not both.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
I think so.
Now, before that, the sales tax extension. Where are we at with that? That went through for economic development.
Well, everybody knows it's approved, but we do need to get the interlocal agreement done. That meaning the agreement between the city and the county. And we do need to do it on the, particularly on the physical improvement side. We approved doing some improvements at the zoo, which pretty much everybody thought we'd do first, but people voted for streets again. But we also have the bikeways in there. We've got the expo center in there. That's the big ticket, and the county bridges. And city's angling for getting the streets done first, or at least, one or two a year, get those knocked out, because those were important to voters. At the same time, the county needs to know when the expo center is going to be done. When you think about it, when you've got a place like a performing center, people are booking out 3 to 5 years hence.
Yeah.
And they really need to know
This time frame, the schedule, how that
exactly.
works. Sure.
Exactly. So we've got to get to work on that now the elections are over.
And we've also seen some new faces on the council. What does that mean? And what's it like? When you have new council people coming in, what does that kind of do to the whole atmosphere?
I got to tell you, Chris, I've learned I'm now in my 7th year, so this is the 4th turnover, 4th that I've been part of. And no matter what the composition of the council is, you kind of get used to each other for the first year, and by the 2nd year, you kind of get into a rhythm. You know how it's going to go, you know what to expect, and about the time you really get that rhythm down, there's an election and it changes. But I would have to
Keeps things interesting, I guess.
Always.
Right? Yeah.
But we changed out 4 of our 9 council positions. That's a lot. So we've only had 2 meetings, two, I think. The good news is that we really got off on the right foot. So far, it's been congenial and open, and I'll speak for myself, but I think all of us are pretty optimistic about moving forward and getting this new council shook in and moving forward.
And something that we were working on, there's a district-wide District 1 crime summit that we're putting together, and this is kind of a new thing, working with the police department and trying to make our neighborhoods safer. It's so much better to work on solutions before problems occur.
Exactly.
And that's what we're doing. So encourage you to get involved with that, and if you're in District 1, be sure to come and see us at Topeka High on June 20th. Thank you so much. That's Karen Hiller, District 1 here in Topeka. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate you coming by.